Alright guys, this is the first of this type for me. So the aim here is to provide you with a breakdown of an entire workout from the design, the thought process behind each of the exercises, and the things that I'm paying attention to or thinking about during the workout and during the exercises. So we got shoulders and triceps for this work. Side delts because that is my current weak point for side delts, and even if it's not, I would even still do a workout dedicated to side delts because you're too wide, your shoulders are too wide, so no judge ever. So yeah, but the point of this though is that you actually get the cues in the thought process, because I want you to think. There's no point in me giving you a piece of paper with a workout and you following it to the T, because there are going to be some variables and there are going to be some things that need to be changed or adjusted for individual purposes. Also, it's very important that you take away the thought process because it helps you think for yourself. At the end of the day, what I'm giving you is concepts and ideas. It's up to you to apply them. Otherwise, I could tell you one thing and you do it for just that particular one, and you can't think outside the box for yourself. You can't think for yourself. That's the worst. That's the worst thing I'd have to ever deal with. Like, alright, anyway, so I'm kind of mumbling for words now. I forgot what I was going to say now. You know what, I might remember it as I go. So let's just get started with it now. Our first exercise is a lying cable cuff lateral. This is one I took from Joe Bennett. It's absolutely awesome. He's done it on the dual cable row machine. I could do it there too. I got the access to the machine, but on this day it was taken, so I just used this as a setup, as an alternative to it. So again, focusing on the side delts. So you can see from the cables there, I've set it up so it's kind of similar to the angle of a standing cable, a dumbbell lateral. The only difference with the cable though is that the profile changes as with every other exercise, but this one, it matches it a little bit better, and you can, by shifting where your body is relative to the cables, you can emphasize whether it's the length, mid-range, or shorten. If you pay attention here, you only see me working this top half. And I'm coming down to the bottom as I fatigue and work more of the mid-range. At the start though, so we'll go back. At the start, you see me here where I'm starting, and I'm going all the way to the top, and I'm not holding, I'm working in that top position there, contracting as hard as I possibly can. And as I fatigue, what you'll see is that I start to reduce that range of motion because I can no longer fully shorten the side delt. So then I start working into the mid-range, and once I can't get to the mid-range, I'm going into the lengthen range. Normally with a dumbbell, you can't do that. There's no resistance at that lengthened position. So as you can see here, I'm trying to get another rep. It's just not happening. Alright, next is seated dumbbell laterals. So here I'm emphasizing the mid-range. I could have done that on the cable machine as well, but just for a bit of easier purposes, I went with a dumbbell. I don't do the standing unless I absolutely have to. As you can see here, I'm just contracting out of that bottom position, and I'm keeping as much tension as I can. And as I failed, I try to bend my arm to get a little bit more by reducing the lever length. So we're going back to the cable now. So all those exercises just before, I did 2 total sets, like completely, as you can see, complete failure. There's nothing left in me by the end of each set. Taking about 90 seconds in between. So here I've dropped the load compared to the first time, and what I'm doing is going for a little bit higher reps, anywhere between 8 to 12, and then I'm using that band. I've folded it up, and all I'm doing is contracting as hard as I possibly can into that band the entire time. I was going for around like 10 seconds. That was about it. 10-15 seconds is all I was looking for. and then I'm taking after that, it would be about 30 seconds rest, and then get straight back into it. So at the start, it was a lot heavier. Now I'm just building up. This is the metabolic portion basically of the workout. So no longer output's still important. Keep output high as you possibly can at all times. Most people call this sort of stuff a finisher or whatever the heck that means, and it ends up with being seizure reps and everything. The reason I chose the in the beginning, it provides a much better strength profile, and you can just change it. So by aligning your body position in a specific way relative to the cables, the machine, I mean, you can you're weaker. That becomes a very efficient exercise, because instead of having to do the same exercise, like do 5 exercises, you can get away with just doing 1. That's a shorter workout and less exercises. There's no real point in doing more exercises. Like you just a different range. If you don't have to change and do extra exercises, that's a win. Like the less you do, the less you have to recover from, and the more frequently you can train a body part. That's one thing I've learned over the last year. So ever since then, my frequency has always been really high. Over time, I've actually dropped my volume, as in the number of total nutsack sets that I do, because the better you 5 sets. Like if you're truly going to complete absolute failure, how can you do that for another 5 sets? It's not complete failure if you can just pick it up and do it over and over and over. You're not working hard enough. So I'm always looking to increase intensity as in. So here I'm just trying to get as much blood as I possibly can, and build up as much lactic acid as I can, because of all the growth hormone release and all that sort of stuff that you want. So when you're looking at a workout, normally I have an output section. This is how I'm designing it. So I have an back, for example. Because of the complexity of the back region, I might have 3 actual exercises emphasizing different parts of the range, then go into the metabolic. Whereas here I don't really have to. And as I was saying at the start, I could have just gone and used this one exercise and done it throughout, and I would have been done. One exercise, and I would then go straight to the metabolic portion using the exact same exercise. I'm still sore now, day after, so I'm still doing good. I'm still probably going to be sore tomorrow as well, a little. It's not a good thing, but, well, not bad, not a good thing. It's just what it is. You just don't want to be overly sore. And now we're moving on to triceps. I put dips back in. It just sits pretty well with me, because I can adjust where I am relative to the bar. I want you to pay attention to one thing here, is how I'm trying to keep my body really upright. And here I'm stopping here. Let me go back. Further, but for me, that's about it. If I lower it any further, I don't have the range available for me to go any further. If I did, my shoulder here was shrugging up to my ear. That's my scapula losing tension. I can't control it there. I'm becoming loose. I'm not depressed anymore. So when that happens, my shoulders might roll forward. It might take over the motion. So I'm reducing the range again. So you can't go very far. I don't have a very big range here. And that's fine, because for whatever's missing range, I'll pick another exercise to work that range. And that's so just let me finish that off. So that's what working through a full range of motion really means. So take the muscle through its lengthened range, its mid-range, and its shortened range. So when you're designing a workout, you want to cover those 3 ranges. And that's why a lot of my arm workouts are essentially 4 exercises total if I'm doing supersets, maybe even 2, 3 maximum. Like sometimes when I include a metabolic portion, then it might be a little bit more, but otherwise I don't really do it. Like I don't even recall the last time I did 4 exercises for biceps or triceps. I just don't see the need to. Like doing preacher curl and then doing a barbell curl. That emphasizes the exact same range. It's redundant. I just don't see the point of it. I would rather do one exercise and then get out there. I don't want to annihilate my body. I want to stimulate it and then get out. I mean, I like to train hard and I like volume, but even then, especially if you're training twice a day, if growth is your goal, that's probably going to be your best bet. What I'm trying to do is not drive my elbows into the midline of my chest. What I'm trying to do is actually extend my arms like I'm doing an elbow extension. That's what I'm doing. That's the word. Elbow extension there, and not actually trying to bring my humerus across. This way, more lengthened by roll. You can't see it, but I've got my shoulder a little bit off the bench, my right shoulder. So I'm driving my left scapula as hard as I can into that pad. I'm driving my biceps hard into the assisting arm, because that's what we call bracing. When you have something to press into, you can increase the amount of output you get. Think about it. The more contact points you have, the more things you have to push into, the less you have to worry about stabilization. So the more output you naturally get. Try doing curls without, in the air, and now go put something underneath your tricep, push into that, and curl. You will notice that you get a tremendous amount of bicep output compared to when you did it without the arm support. And that's what my arm is there to brace against and to push into it. It's a little bit hard to nail down because you're driving your shoulders down here, but then driving your biceps in the other direction. So it's a little bit hard to get down. But with practice, you will. I picked this exercise because I really struggle with my shoulders to get overhead or to stretch the triceps out. And this is about as close as I can to mimicking an overhead movement. Like if I try to move my left arm over my left ear, it feels really awkward. So I'm crossing it over. It feels a lot better to me there. The other thing is you see me doing now is I'm actually lowering it on its own, and then I'm using my other arm to push it up. So I've already reached concentric failure at this point. I can't get the dumbbell up any further, so I still have negative strength there. So I'm using my right hand to assist it, get it up there, and then lower it by its own under control. So obviously be careful not to hit yourself in the head there. And then I'm using both arms and I'm done. This is now the metabolic portion of my tricep exercise. So I want you to pay attention here. See how this cable, where this cable lines up with my arm? See, if you look at this closely, you can see how it, let me play that. So see how that cable cuts, like bisects my arm there? So this cable here is lined up with my shoulders, my elbows, and my wrist. Now, that's going to save you a whole ton of joint pain in the long run. You can't grow your arms if you got fucked up elbows. It's pretty simple there. Post, and I'm shoving my body in towards that post because I'm pushing in this direction and extending in this direction, again, for bracing purposes. So I'm just extending it. I'm coming up to the point where the tension's about to come off, and then I'm moving off. Now here, this one is what the long head of my tricep on my left is smaller than the long head on my right tricep. The long head of the triceps attaches to the shoulder. So one of the functions it actually has is shoulder extension, which is the same as your rear delts as well, and also your lats. So you got to be mindful of it, and it takes a little bit of practice to get it here. So first I exhausted the elbow flexion. If you can see again, we'll go back. So here is just my shoulders are isolated, and I'm just once I've exhausted that, I step back, and then I extend my elbow, reach complete elbow extension. I try to maintain that, and all I am trying to do is extend the shoulder there. But the key here is, as I was just saying, because the rear delts and lats can also extend your arm, you need to be mindful and make sure that your intent is to initiate the movement, the shoulder extension, with your tricep. your long head specifically. I stepped back a little bit so that I could get the cable to line up nicely. If I was standing where I was, I wouldn't be able to do it. Now I'm trying to shift myself here. Now I've got to bisect it. If we go back here, you see that it's here, it doesn't bisect it. Right, so it doesn't line up very well. Now it's lining up very well, and the force is going to that tricep very well. And those faces aren't just for show. Like, the shit burns. I can't recall what I was trying to say earlier, but that was the entire workout. So 2 working sets tops for me. That was it. And then the metabolic portion for this one, I can't even remember how many sets I did. You can watch it again. I wouldn't go any more than 7. So the cable line cable cuff laterals, and you can see here I'm not holding onto the handles because I want to remove my grip from the equation. So I don't want my grip to be the factor that's given in. And when you grip things, there's also a tendency to use your traps. So this is a lot better. If you had like those ankle cuffs or wrist cuffs, they work too. But in this case, I'm poor, so I'm just going with these D handles here. So 2 sets, and then dumbbell laterals is 2 sets, and then back here, and I would just knock them out, the cables, and then I'll get up, and you have to coax yourself into work. My shoulders are burning. I keep contracting. I'm just telling myself contract the entire can't. I want to show you guys something though. The dumbbell laterals. Thinking about here. If you watch my track, I don't care about reaching, shoulder level or parallels to the ground. None of that is in. You're not training a movement here. I'm trying to train a muscle. So I'm just emphasizing this mid-range here, and I don't give a shit if I don't get it to the top. I'm trying to keep all side delts is that you're not thinking raising up, despite it being called a side raise, side lateral raise, whatever. You're not raising it up. What I'm actually thinking. So there's heaps of ways you can cue this. My preferred way, and you can think of it as 2 different ways, the quickest ones I can think of. Number 1 is you're thinking there's somebody standing next to you and you're trying to reach out and punch him. You have to punch this guy, not up. You're not trying to raise this dumbbell up, you're punching him. Your side delt isn't attached to you. I actually like to think elbow. It helps me a little bit better. So what I'm thinking about is actually imagine there's guys next to me, and yeah, there's a lot of people I want to elbow. Elbow them. So here we go. Always, it's out, not up. And I do them seated so I can sort of maintain, one less thing to worry about. I do them like facing the bench and driving my chest into the pad. It's very humbling because you can't swing anymore. You don't look like you're getting fucking tasered while you're doing it. So, that's about it. If you have questions below, and I'll get back to you. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe as well. Like this and subscribe this. If you like this sort of stuff as well, just do let me know, because then I know what to put out.